next item is minutes of our December 11th meeting. Give us a minute to look at those. And we'll have a motion on the minutes.
Well, I read them the other day, so I didn't see anything. Did we say to move 200, I guess like memory test, 200,000 or 100,000?
It was two.
200, yeah. Other than that,
So is there a motion on the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Thanks to our scribes for the minutes. Rick, were there any written communications from the public?
No.
Okay. That brings us to public comment. There's a 15-minute time period for citizens to appear and express their views before the Decatur Public Library Board, and in this case before the Finance and Properties Committee. Limit of 3 minutes per speaker, a total of 15 minutes. No immediate response will be given by the trustees or staff members. Is there any public comment?
Yes, I'll be making public comment. My name is Mark Erdler. First of all, I'd like to apologize for missing the last meeting. Now I know how Greg feels half the time. I just want to say that first of all, that I did find out, I haven't seen the video, so I don't know how it went, but there was a representative here at the last meeting from a federal level campaign that came to check in with the library. I haven't seen the video, so I don't know how that went, but I know this board and I trust that you made the most of that great opportunity of having that representative here. Rick, you sent a lot of interesting emails, but one of my favorites recently was the one that you sent to Donna Williams, and you told her hats off for the work that she's been doing. I want to let you know my hat will stay firmly on. I listed at one of the previous meetings about the terrible decisions that she's made and her poor leadership. But there was something else in there, Rick. You said that there was an unjust trial going on of you, and I thought, you know what? Poor Rick. I mean, just think about Rick. This unjust trial that's going on. It really got to me, Rick, and I thought, you know, what about Rick? Here's this guy making $100,000 a year, ironclad benefits, weeks of paid vacation, and you've got to sit and listen for 9 minutes a month to the public. I mean, I don't know how you do it, sir. But I do know how you relax, because I've seen your receipts from one of your recent travel expenditures with Alyssa Hinkle and Katie Etchison, where the three of you racked up over $100 at a restaurant. I called the restaurant to find out a couple of the items that weren't clear. How in the world did this finance committee approve Rick, Alyssa, and Katie Etchison purchasing stuffed strawberries to feed to each other with taxpayer money? How about cheesecake? You think the taxpayers should pay for Rick Meyer's cheesecake? Then you got somebody else up in Chicago running up a tab at an Irish pub at taxpayer expense. Citizens of Decatur, look at this board of trustees. Okay? You want to know why your taxes are going up, why permit fees are going up, why temporary energy increases are becoming permanent? It's because of decisions that are made by these people right here. Get a good look at them. Mainly this guy. So again, I'm really curious. I'd like to know why you think it's okay to waste taxpayer money like that. You can leave the bookshelves downstairs half empty. I know, Sophia, you said at a recent meeting the bookshelves were full. They're certainly not. I've documented it several times. That most of them are half full. Outside of young adult, shelves are pretty bare down there. Look at Donna Williams tapping her lunch. So again, this is the Finance Committee. Just curious why you don't give any kind of care to how this money is being spent. Just making sure that the public knows who you are and what you're doing. Because next year, you're going to have new city council people, and they're not going to let you slide on it. Thanks for nothing.
Okay, we'll go on to old business. Greg is not here. We have I understand that the city is the owner of the building, but we are the major tenant, and because we have a shared interest in the future, I'm extremely interested in seeing that the best guess of some of our systems and how old they are and who they're likely to be replaced, just so that we can understand the big picture that that our landlord and that we ultimately are operating within. So, my understanding is, Rick, that they are still working on that. And, so, I'm still interested.
Yeah, I don't know if they're still working on it. I know that Mr. Lipka, our building manager, was working on it last month. I don't know whether he's yet finished it or not.
I don't think he's finished yet, but I'll make a note of that.
I mean, I know it's complicated, and the future is not known. Of course, you don't know when something's gonna break, but I think it's just good for all of us, because we're concerned about the finances, to understand the big picture of when the major systems went in, or what the likely expected life is, if everything goes well, we're hoping the life is, and then what the kind of order of magnitude of the replacement is, because obviously this is a huge building, and it has a huge roof, and it has a huge HVAC system, and I'm quite sure that they're very expensive.
I sent out, and Rick and I were talking about it, the part of the grant criteria, and one of the things that's necessary in that particular grant is a facilities report. And so I imagine that this will be included within that, you know, the report of the facilities outside as well as inside, life expectancy, and maybe projected costs. So
Right.
those are things that I'll make sure that we have when I hand those over.
And it's just, you know, it's just good business. You just need to know it.
So I have a question. I mean, do we maintain the HVAC system? They
No.
maintain it, and do they maintain it on a regular basis? Is it getting regular maintenance, I assume? Because honestly, obviously anything could go at any time, but the more maintenance that you give something,
They have a
the
contract.
more likely it is to stay.
They have a contract
working.
with a vendor who comes in and at least quarterly.
I found they do the preventative as well as the maintenance, and I don't know if you remember, in Greg's report, he was talking about the $300,000 from the state.
In a state grant.
State grant that went to the city, and that money is to be used also for the library, maintenance and HVAC.
For the air handler specifically. That's the component that's most in need of attention right now.
A huge advantage of the city owning this,
Right,
as
right.
would have been a huge advantage if the county's public building commission had taken this over, is that it's professional building management. So they know that they've got these checklists and they're doing them. They would,
We hope.
yes, we
It's such a, to me, it's such a relief, you know, I told Greg that, you know, that when I first came on the board, it was like a never-ending crisis. There was always a flood somewhere, or the roof was leaking, or it was like a never-ending building crisis, and they just do such a wonderful job. I'm very appreciative of it.
They did a great job fixing that parking lot too.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, this is just the next step. You know, this is the,
Exactly.
making sure that everybody
The long term.
understands what the long term is. Okay, so speaking of grants, what are you all thinking about, the grant process, and is there money available, and what kinds of things might be available? What kinds of projects might be available?
Well, so dovetailing into the next item for space plans, we were presented with several different potential space plans about a year ago by Product Architecture. Well, this year there's $50 million in grants available to state libraries from the state of Illinois. Each library has an index. Our index is 0.68 something, which means we'd be eligible for up to 68% of any capital project. That's a competitive grant. One of the requirements of the grant, as Robert said, is a facilities plan. The fact that we don't own the building does not preclude us from being eligible for the grant as long as we have a long-term lease, which we do. We're in the very early stages of a 20-year lease. With that in mind, what I'm hoping is that the Board of Trustees can assign 2 board members, and then possibly we can talk about, I think, at least 1 foundation board member, perhaps a Friends board member, and a couple of staff to serve on the building committee. So to look at these, look at the space needs assessment that staff made, look at the drawings that Product Architecture has come up with, look at the grant requirements and then make some recommendations to the board.
Well, I volunteer to do that since I won't be here next week.
Rick, what is the ceiling, like the range for the grants?
I believe it's April is the due date for the grant application.
Like
The
the
size.
So,
cash?
It was like 50,000.
it was a million, yeah, but there's,
That one can go pretty high.
Yeah, it can go pretty
I
high.
think it was 60%, right?
it was,
68% for us.
68%.
68% of what?
The cost of whatever it
No,
costs.
but
Well,
you-
you can't have unlimited cost. I
Right,
mean, they,
and you're asking what's a typical
Range.
size of a grant?
Range, yeah.
Is it a $50,000 grant, is it a $100,000 grant, is it
This is
$250,000?
a grant that hasn't been around for a long time.
I think the range depends on the project as far as, you know, and but if you're asking what's available, I think that's where he was, the 50 million is
It's a
available.
$50 million pot.
okay, I'm sorry, what was that?
For public libraries.
Okay.
Now,
For the whole
at
state.
last I heard, 9 million had, in applications had already been made.
Okay.
And 50
So
million
if
will
we-
go quickly.
If we have a $1 million project, we could possibly get $680,000 paid for by this grant.
And there was.
And that would be part of making the committee to discuss.
Right,
everything,
so
figure out how much
what
it costs.
I would think that the committee, the charge that this committee would have would be, one, sort of assessing what we think the priorities are and the needs, comparing those to, and we've done this already, and we've worked on that with the architects, but we want to see what you guys think, because, now, there's a lot of moving parts, because we also have to work with the city. If we're doing any remodeling, the city is the tenant. So,
But the
landlord.
excuse me, we're the tenant, the city is the landlord, so they have to be on board with anything that we okay. Also, the foundation has to be on board, and if we'd like to ask the Friends to contribute, I think having one of them on that committee would be a good idea too. But the first step is the board of trustees. So my recommendation would be 2, doesn't necessarily have to be from this committee, but I think it's probably the most appropriate committee, but it could be from the other committee too. 2 trustees, and then at least 1 person from the foundation, perhaps 2, and I'll reach out to Tina and Faith, the presidents of the foundation and the Friends Board, to get started. A lot of the work's been done. So what we would have to do, and then we've got the issue of assessing what our ability to fundraise is. Now, we've got money stocked away, but it's, exactly, right.
I mean, given the scale of what's on the table,
Sure,
it's.
Regardless of how, it's gonna take a fairly major capital campaign, which also takes a lot of work and a lot of time.
And as we've discussed this before, because we haven't done this kind of thing before, we don't have the kind of natural infrastructure for doing that. We have people who are willing to do it, but it's creating that infrastructure from the ground up.
Correct. I mean, the library has done it before, but it was 20-some years ago.
Right, and it's a whole,
And I've done it before in a different community.
I mean, there's no way around it, we have to do it, that's just it.
Well, it also fulfills part of our strategic plan, and that is one of the specific things is to freshen the look of the lobby, but a whole, looking at space use and addressing that is also part of the strategic plan. So,
Now, wouldn't this fall into the monies that we have in the capital reserve fund? I can't remember how much we have in that pile.
and we'll get to that, but yeah, that would definitely be something that we could use some of those funds for, but again, how much of that is a decision that this.
well, and also this depends, the other moving part is, getting a sense from the granting agency of if we come in with a, huge project, are we gonna be thrown out immediately, or are they gonna look at that as like that great thing?
Have you felt Mark
Yeah,
at it all?
that's
on
what
that?
I have talked with Mark and go with your question, that they're actually, they're
Mark.
not, Mark,
What is his name? Let's escape me too.
But he's the great.
He's the manager of that
He's
grant over at the state library.
Okay.
he works, actually, there's a webinar out there too. There are 9 libraries from 2013 that already have claims, if you will, on the grant. Of that pot, the 50 million pot carryover, there's also, 2, I think, for 2019, and then there will be all the other libraries that apply for this grant by April, so that will be, those have to be considered. And then there's the 2% that Chicago gets for all that's allotted. So, it's very competitive and it's very time sensitive, so.
Okay, so in terms of the city's role, do you include them on this committee,
I think so.
or do you go to them after the fact, which,
I think you at least reach, I think we at least reach out to them and invite them to.
yeah, it would seem like they need to be in the loop the whole way.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
Sooner rather than later.
I think Melissa's, can't think of her last name right now, but Melissa's one definitely I was thinking about including. She wrote the big grant for the city, that they just did some construction grant, and she got that, so it's several $1 million.
Well, I would think, the place to start would be with Greg and see what he, what he would prefer.
And I talked, just a sort of really bird's eye view about this to Scott Wright and also to John Kinseth, who's the deputy city manager. And one of John's charges is the space over there and finding tenants for that. So, and he's already a regular patron, he and his family here.
Great.
So I'll start with, I can start with Greg, but I think that John and Scott as
Yeah,
well,
sorry.
and the mayor, and let them know and see
See
what level they want to be involved in.
Do they have any ideas about what they're gonna do over there?
I mean, I think they're still open for retail space.
I'd like a pony.
Um,
Let me follow up on what you said.
Dance studio.
So did you get any impression from him of, obviously he doesn't know what's gonna come in, but did you feel like he was more receptive to a bunch of smaller grants, or they wanna do a couple of huge flashy projects? Did you get any sense about the kind of scale of the application that's gonna be easiest for them to approve?
No, and he's very careful about not saying that. He's.
Yeah, you don't want to discriminate against the smaller libraries
Right.
because they have fewer resources,
Yeah.
and a small grant can be really important to them.
Right.
I can tell you that the sense I got from the director of the state library is, he felt that this grant will be here to stay. But that, how things are in Springfield, that can change. It's been gone for a long time, 2013, 2012.
2013.
Yeah, so, but it's back and it's well funded this year. So, but again, $50 million can go pretty quickly with
A big state, and
800
a lot,
libraries.
yeah, and a lot of need.
What he did point to was, if you'll notice on the documents, was the priorities. So if you
Right.
choose one of those priorities, your priority, if your argument stays within that priority, you're more likely to fall in certain levels on that particular priority level. Anything else, if it doesn't seem, if you don't make a good argument, then it's possible, he said you'll be kicked probably down to the bottom where, miscellaneous.
Can you talk about those a little bit? If I recall, one of them was accessibility.
Right, I'm sorry,
That's
I'm from memory, yeah, but,
Wasn't aging infrastructure?
Yes.
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 Yeah, that's
Definitely fall into that.
But the infrastructure things, that's questionable as to whether that, since we don't own it, that's something we would have to.
the one that was highlighted was the one he pointed out might work for us. I think that was number 2, and that was the one you just mentioned. I think that was the one he said that probably worked for us.
Improving accessibility
Yeah.
and,
I think that was the one, yeah. But he also pointed to the libraries that have received the grants was at the very bottom of the document that was sent. I think there was like 15, 20 libraries may have the amounts. And so it's, I haven't done it yet, but you can, and I plan to, you can talk to those libraries and see what they did, what their grant covers and how they applied. So libraries are pretty good about sharing information.
Okay.
I love the idea of getting the woman involved who wrote the grant for the city, just because grant writing is a skill.
Mhm.
Yeah, and Robert's got a good deal of experience in it, and I have some. My last library, we were pretty successful with some grants for our big capital project, but we hired a consultant to help us with the fundraising and the grant writing. And it cost us $160,000, and we got us $1.6 million.
Yeah, which
So,
I guess is worth it, in that case.
So that's something to think about, but that's getting ahead of ourselves. I think the
Right.
first steps are,
Right.
the first steps are to, think about the needs, think about the capacity for fundraising, and, I can go forward with, you guys' direction and reach out to the foundation, the Friends, and, if we're okay with, Sophia being, one of the representatives from this, board, I think it might be a good idea to have one more, but we can work with one. I mean, sometimes committees, the smaller the better, so. And just come back, so we don't put 10 ideas in front of you guys and have a 4-hour meeting, trying to hash all that out.
Well, obviously you'll consult with Donna
Yeah.
on the final choice. So. Okay, well, so sounds like you should proceed with that. With particular focus on coming up with an actionable grant proposal for the April opportunity. So shall we move on to new business? Is there any other old business? I wanted to follow up on a couple items on the last meeting, but if you wouldn't mind, why don't we do the numbers first, and then we can ask questions about the last meeting, if that's okay with everybody. Okay, so first is the check register. Obviously, Rick, you're very busy this month, getting library materials. There's many pages of library materials. And I had some specific questions I just wanted to ask you about. What I'm calling page 6, looks like we,
What's the thing at the top?
it says juvenile books and bags from Weston Woods Studio Group. Is that something new, or is that
No,
more materials? or something
it's
we
more,
should do?
yeah, it's more that, we've had it for a while, and it's
Oh, I was
just,
wondering what that
it's-
was.
they're bags, they're in the children's department, they're hanging on some of the pillars, they're available for checkout, there are books in there, sometimes DVDs and CDs that, read along with the books and that kind of thing. They're pretty popular items.
Great.
We've had them for a long time.
So that's additional stuff in that category. I see we're buying World Book, is that paper and database?
The one you see, the $999 is the paper, and then on the next page, about a third of the way down is the online school edition.
Okay. And then the next item, back page is limited database subscription. It's identified as ROCKS. What's that?
Yeah, that's, it's called Rock's Back Pages. It's a new database of pop rock music writing. We've been considering for a number of years. We didn't know whether we would have the market for it, but we decided this year we had the funds and we would give it a try. And we're going to be brainstorming some marketing ideas with the folks from Rock's Back Pages next month. They sent us a lot of promotional materials last week. So if you're a fan of popular music, it's pretty amazing. A lot of the stuff, a lot of times if you Google some of this stuff, you're gonna run into a paywall. Well, Rocksky Pages is the paywall. This opens up access to a ton of stuff, mostly from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. It's mostly journalism, but it's not exclusively journalism. There's some audio and some video material too. So we're going to see how it does. We wanted to partner with Milliken on it last year. They looked at their curriculum and decided it wasn't. They actually had considered it the year before and had decided against it. But
Well, and so is it not a specific partnership? Is it something when the marketing goes out that you can reach out to whatever music clubs or
Yes.
groups or organization, singing groups or?
And they've got a program for kids that is about making it's a summer program and it's about I can't remember what it's called, rock.
And you should also talk to the Arts Council about this.
Yeah, that's true. I talked to Gary about it. But it's they've got a program for kids that teaches them how to be, if they're not interested in going into jazz or classical, it teaches them how to, even the business side of popular music. So that might be worth reaching out to them to see.
It's that first gig or whatever they
That-
do.
Oh, yeah, they have their final concert over at the service.
Yeah,
Right.
Jacob Hill.
Yeah, Carlson was
Yeah.
there.
See, all that stuff, it's about using this to help build contact with people who might not think about
Right.
us.
Well, I would say that it might be worth just sending out to all of the band directors at the local high schools and just
There you
saying,
go.
It's a great idea.
this is what we have, and
Middle school.
And you never know, exactly, you never know if they want to even make the kids come in and do a project, That's the kind of thing when I used to teach, I would have been like, yeah, my kid's going in there and doing a project and giving an oral report.
Yeah, it's I've held off on it for a few years because I'm not sure if the market's there, but we'll find out this year.
Well, and since you bought it, let's
Right.
see.
Right.
Let's do what Sophia said, and what Donna said.
What I would suggest though is that we send something out to them now and then send something out again in August. It's like, so that for the
Right, sure.
beginning of the new
Right.
year, like do a
Right.
two-tier thing.
We're starting out this term in the fall.
Yeah.
Or August, they'll be starting the
And
next.
then, I don't know, I mean, I think I mentioned this last time, I mean, when I was reading all of the material we had to read for that grant, I just don't know how much a billboard would be, but maybe we just need a billboard for the winter when it's really cold out, and then one when it's really hot out, saying how nice and cool it is in the library, how nice and warm it is in the library.
The boards are
saying
pretty
it's-
expensive, but.
I know, but when I was reading all that material, they were talking about just the
It is
ways that you
in your- it is
reach
in
out
your
to people.
face, and originally I was discouraging it because it is expensive. But then as I was driving around, I thought, maybe she's right.
Well, maybe we reach out to the Foundation of the Friends.
And there may be somebody that's willing to, because I know, like, the Children's Museum was able to get billboards donated for like a week or two.
Really?
And maybe that's one of the things that we do is, for
Just
various
for a week or
events,
two.
just see if anybody's willing to let us put something up for a week or two and see what happens.
Okay.
But I was thinking strategically doing it with weather might be the first way to get it to work. Like, when it's really cold out, you're not gonna be
right.
outside doing anything. When it's
Right.
really hot out, you're not gonna be outside doing anything. I mean,
Right. That's
in the
good.
summer, when it's really hot out, I'm like, kids, let's go to the library. When my kids were little, in the winter, when it was really cold out, kids, let's go to the library.
Yeah.
I used to spend
That makes a lot of
Saturday,
sense.
Sunday afternoons here with my friends, and we would get kicked out when they would close the library. I mean, we'd show up at like 1 or 2 and stay until it closed.
Right.
And the kids had a blast. We sat and chatted at a table, and it was great. We got some books ourselves, but the kids got lots of books, the kids had fun. So I don't know if it's like it's just a suggestion, and I got that idea from reading all that material.
No,
It's one of the
I
things
love
they
the
suggested.
billboard idea. It's it's the.
I know
it's the cost
I know there's a cost, but if
If
it's
there was a
able to
donation,
bring
then you-
people
then-
in,
yeah,
if there's a
that's-
donation, if there's a way to get it.
Yeah.
Can you hang a banner from this building?
yes.
Is that a
And we-
city thing?
Yeah, you can, and we have, well, the Friends have, and do on a regular basis, every year. They're
Hope
set.
so.
Mhm.
I've got a couple more questions
Yeah,
before we approve the thing. On that page, Select Reads, a one-year subscription.
That's newsletters about books. You can go onto our website and you can subscribe to these free to patrons newsletters. So say you're interested in mysteries and it helps you stay on top of the new releases and that sort of thing.
Great, and then the next one is the database package, so I assume that that's multiple databases.
Correct. That's from EBSCO. We used to be an EBSCO library. We became a Gale library. And Gale keeps going up. And we thought, let's try EBSCO this year and then decide whether we want to continue with Gale, which would come up halfway through the year. That gets us EBSCO Explorer, EBSCO Literary Reference Center Plus, EBSCO Legal Information Reference Center, EBSCO Consumer Health Complete, and EBSCO Business Source Complete. We're looking at some other things from EBSCO as well, but that's what we have subscribed to. We're also looking at a tool that they have that will, this would solve a lot of problems, it's just we've got to get the price right. It would search across everything. So in other words, front page of the website, put in your search term, small engine repair.
What do you look
Search
at?
the catalog, it would search, I don't know what they call their product, but it's through EBSCO. But it would search electronic databases, it would search your program schedule.
Oh, wow.
It's a discovery layer.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, the initial numbers they were throwing around weren't anything we liked too much, but we're still talking. So hopefully we can get it to a place where we can all be comfortable with it, and then we'll see what IHLS is looking at a product that does that and more. And if they decide that that's affordable and they can negotiate
For everybody.
for everybody, we can switch to them the following year,
But meanwhile, you will have had now some additional experience with EBSCO by signing.
oh yeah, and I've worked with EBSCO, and this library's worked with EBSCO in the past, and I'm not sure, at some point we decided to switch over to Gale. Gale's a good product, I'm not saying anything bad about them, I've been very happy with them, but I like EBSCO.
Great, and then the next page, I have two questions, Swank Motion Pictures.
Yeah, that's a motion picture, it's a blanket motion picture performance license. So that allows us to have public showings of movies, and it covers particular studios.
Okay, and then the next one on that page is Watts Copy System, just, you talked about them in the past, are things going well with them? They're very happy.
Very happy, we were really happy with the upgrade and the lower price, so.
Good combo. And then I see that we have one, I only saw one travel item, and there's only
Correct.
one piece of documentation, which is, Dr. Ngura's trip to Chatham for,
She and Samantha attended a seminar in December, and that was a travel cost.
It was used as a requirement.
Yes, and that their attendance to that seminar checked off a box for our per capita grade.
okay, that's all the questions I had on the,
I have one question. How often do we get our piano tuned?
Usually annual.
That's a good price for
That
an
was
That
a
is.
really good price.
I just had mine tuned for 125.
Well, I may be
I
calling.
get mine
I
tuned
need
twice a
to
year.
get, we just got a free one.
A free piano? Oh.
Yeah, we grew up on piano.
I have a new piano tuner too. He does all Milliken's pianos. I was just curious as to how often we get it tuned.
Schneider's out of Champaign, I think.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
We use
I use,
there.
no, why now I'm totally blanking on his name now.
Back,
Beck, yes, thank you.
Mr. Yoga.
Yes, Mr. Yoga.
Yeah. Show one yoga class in conjunction with your piano string.
It's very interesting. He's awesome. I like him.
Okey dokey, looks good.
Anybody else have any questions on the check register? Okay, then can I have a motion to approve and pass on to the board with our recommendation for approval?
I make a motion to pass it on to the board with our recommendation for approval.
One second.
Okay, and then we'll take a,
Aye.
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 thank you, thanks everyone, okay. And then as discussion items, we have the budget report. This is now, there's only one report this time because this is actual end of the year.
The books aren't closed, so there could be some minor adjustments, and there will be on interest, because when I did this, the interest wasn't showing up yet, but there will be some additional revenue. There shouldn't be any more
And
expenditures.
did we get more money from the city? From the county,
Yes,
yeah.
we did. We did receive our
Last
our
allotment.
last disbursement, and it was stronger than expected.
That's
So,
always a good thing.
our revenue for property taxes, we collected 106%. That's because
Because last year's
yes, we
fell
got
on
last
this year.
year's
Yeah.
final
exactly.
disbursement fall this year, but we did get our full, a little bit over our 2.8 million plus the 200-some-thousand or 180,000 was in January.
And then obviously some of the other line items continue to be strong as you were projecting
Yes.
earlier in the year. So that's great, so 106% of budget for revenue, and then it looks like for expense, with the exception of office supplies, basically at or below budget. So total expense was slightly over, I assume that's all because of the capital and office equipment.
No, total expense was slightly under. Total expense was 3,783,378. We budgeted
right.
3,783,382. So we didn't move 200,000. We moved 197,800 in because that's what we had left in the budget, in the expense budget. But as far as revenue, when you compare to revenue now, even after moving that 197,000, it's 296,000 basically to the good. It rolls into the operating fund.
So that's to start the year off with.
Correct. So if you look at our starting point this year and compare it to our starting point last year, we're 300,000 higher
Mhm.
than we were last year at this time.
Which is, kudos to everyone for that.
It was a very strong year.
And, the changes you've made in personnel to make the jobs more flexible, more cross-training, replacement, realignment with retirements and attrition have all been,
And also just the revolving nature of libraries as well. I
Right.
think it's great. I
Yeah.
think, like you said, as people retire, we kind of reorganize the jobs.
So hopefully that positions you well for the future.
Yeah, and there's still more coming in the next few years.
Yeah. I mean, obviously all that experience is very valuable, but you also pick up new skill sets and more flexibility. Okay, so great, thank you for that report. I wanted to just go back and ask about a couple of the items from last time. One was the Mary Garrettson issue that we talked about, and the importance of how much service having a social worker here is providing to the community.
Yeah, well, we were looking at an internship. Well, where we've landed is
Through the Millikan internship.
through the University of Illinois.
Through the University of Illinois.
Yeah, so where we've ended up on that is that the agreement between the is going to be between the University of Illinois and Mary Garrison. And then the library will have an agreement with Mary. So Mary does her work for us pro bono. Mary has her own insurance. And the insurance, since we're not paying a stipend to the student, the university will cover their liability insurance. So that gets us around the biggest concerns we've had. We're still waiting on that agreement between the university and Mary. Mary sent an email to us.
Somehow, I had Millikan in my mind, I thought that was what.
No,
Yeah,
she's with
okay.
Millikan, but the internship is with the University of
Okay.
Illinois.
Okay. So it's gonna be, essentially, it's gonna be a three-way.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
That clarifies all those relationships, who's doing
Correct.
what to whom, and
Correct, and we become just the
the place.
exactly. We provide the space, and Chris, our attorney, is much more comfortable with doing it this way, having our relationship be with the instructor, in essence. So our only obligation is going to be to provide the space. We won't have to evaluate the student, send any reports to the university, provide any insurance.
And how often will Mary and or the student be here providing service to the
That's
patient?
still not clear because that agreement hasn't been drafted yet. So we got an initial draft that was trying to sort of shoehorn us into a standard agreement with the university, and it was written as if we were a healthcare organization, and there were just too many problems with it. So after talking with the university and Mary and our attorney, it was decided to draw up so the next step is to get that agreement from the university to Mary.
And is your sense that it's going to be more or fewer hours than we currently have with Mary's pro bono work?
I would assume it would be more, because typically they'll have a certain number of hours that they're going to have to get in their internship per week. That would probably exceed that, probably something like in the neighborhood of 20 is my expectation, but I haven't seen the agreement.
Okay, well, keep us posted, I'll be very interested. And then I just, I already said this to Sophia, but I just thought so much about the whole issue of childhood literacy and the role of this library in helping with the people who are working on that and how we can help. And Sophia's,
It's hard and sad.
Sophia's taking that on as a cause, and I'm just so appreciative of you bringing it up and giving it to us to think about it, because I think it's incredibly important, and it's one of the things where we could have the most impact on
Our community.
the community, on the library long-term, on the future. It's,
I mean, the best thing we can do for our community is educate our children. And I do know that some of the Decatur public schools are a little disorganized at the moment.
Well, I'll look into getting you in on that webinar.
Okay.
And that is a starting point, but I talked to Alyssa today about the meeting with you, so we'll definitely get that done, whether the webinar works out or not. And then there was another thing that both you and Michael expressed interest in, just kind of a brainstorming session on circulation. We'll get that one too.
I wanted to ask you, is there, the UOI probably has a way to assess whether or not the internships are it's a successful program. Are you going to be given the information also?
I would like to be. Having not seen any of it yet, I don't know, but I would,
Okay.
Certainly there'd be a way to do that and still honor the privacy, et cetera.
Oh,
et cetera.
yes, yes.
So, just an overall, bird's eye view of it, and I think that,
Will you be getting grad students then?
Yeah.
We're doing U of I now.
So short grad students.
Great. Really be interesting.
That'd be interesting for them too.
Anybody else have any other questions or concerns you want to throw out for discussion?
Same things.
Well, then, the motion to adjourn,
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.